tonight.
As much as I would love to say, you know what, just bring me all your kids, I can't do that. We only have 90 spaces.
A new report says Saskatchewan is struggling to make space for affordable childcare. Also,
the situation we are in is so surreal. It's like we are in a movie, and we want it just to be over, right?
The village of Richmound is fed up with a conspiracy theorist group that's videotaping residents, and the mayor is calling for mental health support. Plus,
I think it can only go up from here, really.
Saskatchewan's new female junior hockey league takes to the ice.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, October 16th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams in for Sam McKeag. Thanks for joining us tonight. Saskatchewan's efforts to deliver $10 a day daycare are falling short, according to a new report. The problem is a lack of spaces. Tonight, we'll take you to a Regina daycare that has 1,900 children on its waiting list. Alexander Kwan reports.
It's now been more than 2 years since Saskatchewan signed a deal with the federal government to establish $10 a day childcare. And while that much-touted goal was reached this past April, there remains a much higher demand than there are spots available. Megan Schmidt is the director of First Years Learning Center in Regina.
It was maybe done a little bit backwards, right? So we rolled out the $10 a day daycare, but there's no spaces. So while the price goes down for those currently in childcare, it does not make it more accessible for other families because, like I said, there still are no spaces.
Schmidt's facility has space for 90 children, but its wait list is now more than 1,900, and childcare centers across the province face similar issues. Now, Cardis, a Toronto-based think tank, has the data. As part of the deal, Saskatchewan committed to establishing 28,000 new licensed childcare spots in 5 years. But this new report found that the province made very little headway, only generating 2,200 spaces in the first year of the deal. And when you consider that some facilities closed during that same time, Cardis determined there was only a net increase of 642 spots.
It's really one thing to make these funding announcements. It's quite another thing we're learning to implement them. And we'll have to see what happens going forward.
And while everyone agrees that more spots are needed, creating them can be difficult.
So in order to have more spaces, we need more early childhood educators in the field. And those early childhood educators need to be qualified, and they need to have gone through their classes, and they need to want to be here. And while some of them want to be here right now, they can't be because they can't work for just above minimum wage.
In response, the province says that it's boosted the wages of early childhood educators. But Schmidt says those benefits are not available to everyone. So while her wait list grows, she urges parents with young children to lobby their local politicians to increase spaces. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
The emergency session at the Saskatchewan Legislature resumed today. The opposition has delayed second reading of the government's new Parents' Bill of Rights. It requires a school division to get parental consent before a child under 16 can make a gender-related name or pronoun change. There will be 40 hours of debate, and it will start tomorrow evening or Wednesday morning. The Premier says most school divisions already have a similar policy. He says the bill was drafted after they learned Regina Public Schools does not inform parents. CBC has reached out to Regina Public for information about its policy. Meanwhile, Saskatchewan Human Rights Commissioner Heather Cutai resigned today because of the government's bill.
I can't be a human rights commissioner and stand up for the rights of Saskatchewan citizens while working in the same system that is not working for those kids, and that in fact is causing harm to those kids. So I couldn't make those two things meet or come together. There was too much of a discrepancy, so that's why I had to resign. I felt like I had to resign.
Cutai has sat on the Saskatchewan Human Rights Commission since 2014. She also has a transgender son and says this new bill hits home. She says requiring teachers to ignore a child's chosen name or pronoun turns teachers into bullies that cause psychological harm and turns schools into an unsafe place. The opposition NDP says the government is trying to distract the public from the current healthcare crisis. This morning, the party's health critic and education critic spoke outside Royal University Hospital. Vicky Mowat says there were 41 people waiting for a bed at the hospital this morning and another 88 awaiting transfer to an appropriate ward.
Are we debating the emergency in healthcare, access to family doctors, or surgical wait times, which are the longest in Canada? Staff retention or recruitment, rural ER closures, or service disruptions? No. We're debating taking charter rights and human rights away from vulnerable kids. Scott Moe and the Sask party are just trying to distract from their record of failure.
The NDP says service reductions in rural areas have caused even more overcrowding in large city hospitals. The Ministry of Health confirms acute care hospitals in Saskatoon are facing capacity pressures. It blames the start of the school year and rising viral infections. Saskatoon police say a person has died after being hit by a train. It happened at the 33rd Street West and Edmonton Avenue intersection just off of Circle Drive around 8:30 this morning. Police say a male was found dead at the scene. We don't know his age. He was on foot at the time of the accident. The people of Richmound held a protest over the weekend to urge a QAnon cult to leave the village. The cult conspiracy theorist group has sent out cease and desist letters threatening public executions of residents and village elected officials for what it calls bullying and corruption. The group has been housed inside a former school building for nearly a month. CBC's Laura Sharpaletti was in Richmound over the weekend. She joins us now from our newsroom. Laura, what did you learn while you were in Richmound?
Well, before the protest even began, Mayor Brad Miller held a press conference. He was joined by mayors from nearby Leader and Fox Valley communities, as well as the MLA for Cypress Hills, and they were there to support him, which was a real theme of the protests over the weekend. There was a real sense of unity, and residents told me right before they hopped in their cars to begin the protest that while they really want the cult to leave, they wouldn't wish the situation on any other community. In addition to threatening letters, I also learned that members of the group have actually been following residents around and taking their photos and also video recording them without their consent.
We're sick and tired of walking around and having a cell phone pop up and be in your face and on your license plate of your vehicle. Like, for what? What do you need that for?
We also learned that community members are struggling with mental health right now. Mayor Miller says that many residents are concerned about Romana Didulo, who calls herself the Queen of Canada, and her group and their conspiracy theories and extremist beliefs.
It all comes back to that mental health issue, and we're all built different. So somebody's at a 3, with the cease and desist orders, they'd be kept on coming. I got one yesterday that's more personal that came to me. But like I said, we have to take them with a grain of salt. For some of us, but some of us are probably ramped up to a 12 out of 10 and they need help. And I think those people that are needing help should be reached out by Sask Health.
So Laura, what happened at the protest this weekend and what did protesters tell you?
Well, on Saturday, I counted about 50 vehicles that were circling the school where the group has been staying since about mid-September. They were honking their horns, making noise, and showing signs that said things like, "Get out," "The Queen is dead," and "mental health crisis," among many other signs. They told me that they want to feel safe in their community again and that they want to feel that loving feeling they always had in the community. And the protest was very peaceful. Mayor Miller, before everyone even hopped in their vehicles to circle the school, he emphasized the need to keep emotions in hand.
This situation we are in is so surreal. It's like we are in a movie and we want it just to be over, right? We just want it to all be over.
While the protest was going on, police presence was everywhere. RCMP had checkpoints at both entrances to the town, and the mayor and Richmound protesters told me directly that they were very appreciative of the RCMP's presence during this difficult time. Now, as for the Kingdom of Canada, I didn't see many of the followers actually outside the school, just a couple of them, and I didn't see too many people who might have been there for the meet and greet, which is what the group had said they were holding on Saturday, and we didn't see the cult actually reacting much to the protesters themselves.
So what comes next now for the village?
Well, the QAnon conspiracy theorists have not left Richmound, nor have they indicated to my knowledge that they plan on leaving the village anytime soon. But RCMP presence will continue to be there. They're there really to manage tensions in the community between community members and the cult. I reached out to Mayor Miller today to see if the village has any plans going forward. I did not receive a response in time. However, he did tell the media on Saturday that he's calling for the provincial and federal governments to come up with a plan or perhaps a bylaw to help deal with this situation right now and if it comes up again in another community in the future. Richmound residents also told me directly that they would like to see the government help out in this particular circumstance.
Shut her up, shut it down so that we can go back to our lives and the rest of the people in the world can go back to living a normal life. Times are difficult enough as it is without this.
And Ethan, we will continue to follow this very closely in the coming days and weeks.
All right, thank you, Laura. CBC's Laura Sharpaletti in our Regina newsroom tonight. The Saskatchewan Teachers Federation is declaring an impasse at the bargaining table. It says the government's bargaining team is refusing to negotiate on issues that matter most among educators. The teachers' collective bargaining agreement expired in August. The teachers' union says it spent several days at the bargaining table with the government's team, but has grown frustrated with the government response on classroom size and how to support students with complex needs. The union is filing for conciliation and is planning to vote on sanctions, which could lead to job action.
Teachers want to reach a deal that is negotiated at the table, and we're extremely disappointed the government is still refusing to address the most pressing issues in education. That's class size, class composition, and supports for students. Government will not bargain on these and many of the other issues that we have presented. These are the real issues that exist in every classroom and impact every student across this province.
gov't says the teachers' union will be holding a sanctions vote on October 24th and 25th. Today, during question period, the education minister defended the government's position, saying its bargaining team is still at the table and that it is putting forward a fair deal for teachers. Prairie harm reduction in Saskatoon is changing its hours to address what it sees as a growing need in the community. The drop-in center at the 20th Street West building stays open until 10 at night, but the supervised consumption site has been closing at 4 in the afternoon. Those hours are set to expand to 10 o'clock beginning tonight. Executive Director Kayla DeMong says she's concerned about homelessness and addiction issues heading into winter and that resources need to be available at every part of a person's journey. Well, construction on the long-awaited Regina General Hospital parkade is now underway, and by next November, there will be more than 1,000 stalls with spots designated for staff.
Once this parkade is built, the utility of this parkade will far exceed any of the parkades in Regina. We've also incorporated a parking guidance system for visitors. So visitors are going to be quickly able to identify open parking spaces so they can get in and out of the parkade.
For years, hospital staff have raised concerns about a lack of parking at the hospital. Safety is one issue. Another is that staff have to move their vehicle multiple times a shift to avoid tickets. The new parkade will not be connected to the hospital, but it is designed to be pedway ready if that's ever required. Every stall will also be electrified, so people can plug in their cars in the wintertime. The build is expected to cost $35 million. Well, the trees are almost bare across our province and in Regina and Saskatoon. That means it's time for fall street sweeping to collect all those leaves. Both cities began sweeping today in neighborhoods with the most mature trees, whose leaves can clog up storm drains. And there may just be some rain falling in those drains tomorrow. Meteorologist John Sauter has your forecast after the break.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Truck Mania is on now.
Welcome back. Well, I think I almost got sunburnt on my lunch break today here in Regina. What a beautiful sunny fall day we've had across the province. A little bit of cloud right now in Saskatoon, though. But will this gorgeous weather continue? Meteorologist John Sauter has our forecast now. John?
Well, thanks, Ethan. Yeah, an absolutely stunning day out there for mid-October. Here's a look at some of the afternoon temperatures around the region. Southern Saskatchewan in the 20s in most cases, 21 in Moose Jaw and Regina, Estevan, 20 in Swift Current and Assiniboia, 19 in Kindersley. Some of the warmest air in the country is right here in the southern prairies, including southern Saskatchewan. So this is this afternoon, the upper level atmosphere. This shows us where the ridges are, where the troughs are. You can see that this trough over Manitoba will stretch a little farther west on Wednesday, and then we're back into warmer air on Thursday before a real more extended cooling period comes by the time we get into the weekend. You'll see that in the 7-day forecast shortly, but boy, southern Saskatchewan and the north bathed in sunshine today. We do have a little bit more cloud just getting into the western sections of the province. Certainly a lot cloudier out through Alberta and BC, where a low pressure system is now forming, and that will bring more cloud in through the day tomorrow and some rain along with it. As we get into the night tonight, this thing is really getting through Alberta. By Tuesday morning, the leading edge of the showers here in the warm front just into Saskatoon, western sections of northern Saskatchewan, and then we'll just see intermittent showers moving through. A lot of this is on the north side of the low. Late Tuesday, the system rolls right off into Manitoba, and we're left behind with some cloud cover on Wednesday morning and a few more showers north and on the eastern side of the province as we get into Wednesday late in the day. Wind will be part of the story here as we get into later part of Tuesday. The winds really start to pick up in the western parts of the province, and then we're looking at gusts to about 30, as high as 40 in the Regina area as we work our way through the day on Tuesday. So tonight's forecast, just partly cloudy skies, and normal low in Regina is -3, a low of only 6. And we're going to be very mild where there is cloud cover back out to the west. Northern sections of the province, mild as well, down to 0 in Uranium City, increasing cloud in La Ronge. And then tomorrow we start to see either a chance of showers or occasional showers through most of the province. It'll be around the afternoon here in Kindersley and Swift Current, morning showers in Saskatoon, Regina, just a chance of an afternoon shower, but still very warm, up around 18 to 19 degrees. In the long range, we are cooler Wednesday, but back to 20 degrees again on Thursday. And then as we get into the weekend, we're looking at highs that are still above seasonal, but certainly a lot cooler. Then for Saskatoon tomorrow, looking at 19 degrees, a little bit cooler Wednesday, 19 again on Thursday. And then same sort of story as we get toward the weekend. Highs are closer to seasonal, even a single-digit high by this time next week. Ethan?
All right. Thank you very much, John.
When it comes to your news, you want up-to-the-minute access. Anytime, anywhere. Get the facts straight from the source. Download the free CBC News app or visit cbcnews.ca for news you can trust.
A family of Afghan refugees trying to make their way to Saskatoon are now in a perilous situation. They're in Pakistan, where the government there is threatening to deport anyone who is there illegally. As Pertush Dayal reports, their family here in Saskatchewan is asking the Canadian government to intervene.
A sense of relief and excitement as Afghani refugee Nadia Manusha reunites with her family in Saskatoon. We are not showing her face because she fears for the safety of her family back in Pakistan.
They have a very bad situation. Police did not respect the Afghani people, refugees. They are treating like an animals.
A year ago, her brother-in-law Ghiyasuddin Shahanshahi arrived at the same airport after fleeing Afghanistan. He has been trying to bring 5 family members to Saskatoon. They are all in Pakistan now, but face the risk of deportation to the Taliban.
Illegal immigrants hai, illegal
Pakistan's government has declared that all undocumented Afghani refugees will have to leave the country by November 1st or face deportation. According to the UN Refugee Agency, Pakistan hosts over 775,000 undocumented Afghani refugees. That also includes Shahanshahi's family, who have been approved as permanent residents to Canada. Before they could make their trip here, Shahanshahi's father was stopped by the police.
They came to my home, to my parents' home, and they arrested all my family. They put it in the jail and not in the police stations.
It took nearly $5,000 to get them released. They were warned if they were arrested again, they'd be sent back to the Taliban.
We have a lot of chat communications.
Shehanshahi has been reaching out to Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship and Canada, or IRCC, for help, but
RCC is not replying. This is not only my family. Thousands of people asking from RCC is not replying. This is the worst scenario.
Shehanshahi says he has been having many sleepless nights, and so has his sister, who we spoke to from Pakistan but won't identify.
We have a tough situation, and now we are hide in one place, or if anybody knows about us, so we change our place. And I don't know what should we do.
Shehanshahi says Canada needs to help. RCC says it cannot provide the number of Afghani refugees waiting in Pakistan to come to Canada due to security reasons, but it will continue to work with the government of Pakistan to expedite their movement to Canada. Pratish Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The war between Israel and Hamas escalated today, with Hamas firing a barrage of rockets at Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And hospitals in Gaza are inching closer toward the brink of collapse due to a lack of water, fuel, and medical supplies. Diplomatic efforts to let aid reach Gaza fell through. The death toll now climbing higher, with at least 1,300 Israelis and 2,800 Palestinians dead. One Israeli airstrike hit the crossing from Gaza to Egypt. Canada is still working to get about 300 Canadians and their families out of the territory. 5 Canadians have been killed in Israel, and 3 are still missing. Israeli authorities have ordered the evacuation of villages in northern Israel amid concerns the war could spread to a new front. Also today, Israeli officials updated the number of hostages being held by Hamas from 155 to 199.
Well, here's a look at tonight and tomorrow morning in Regina, and we are expecting a low tonight of 6 degrees, but after sunset, the temperatures under clear skies really fall quickly. So a midnight temperature at 7. As we get into the morning hours, we still have at least a little bit of sunshine. A temperature at 9 a.m. at 9 degrees, winds out of the southeast at 15, and then you'll notice the clouds increasing through the day. Same story in Saskatoon, partly cloudy, 7 degrees at midnight. By morning, though, by about 9 o'clock, we're looking at a temperature of 11, still some sun and some cloud before the clouds roll in, and we have a chance of showers a little bit later on in the day in Saskatoon. Ethan?
All right, thank you, John. And before we leave you, some exciting firsts for Saskatchewan's new Under-22 Junior Female Hockey League. The Saskatoon Prairie Blaze hosted its home opener yesterday against the Outlook Mainline Ice Hawks. It's the inaugural season for the new league with 6 teams. 4 played their first game over the weekend, while the other 2 faced off last weekend. Until now, there weren't many options for Saskatchewan women wanting to continue their competitive hockey careers. Players had to compete at post-secondary schools or switch to rec hockey. This new league has changed that.
To see like a full barn for the first game of the league in Saskatoon was really nice to see. We had support from Outlook and Saskatoon, so it was nice it was a good game to have the full barn.
I think this is a good starting point, and I think it's only going to grow from here. And the support that not only our team's gotten, but like Kindersley and Outlook and all those other teams out there, they've gotten insane amounts of support from their communities as well, which is really amazing to see. So I think it can only go up from here, really.
And as for yesterday's game, the Prairie Blaze shut out the Ice Hawks 4-0. Big congrats to that league. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can always head to cbc.ca/Sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. John and I will be back with more news and weather at 11. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.